Hey guys, it's me, Alec. I'm here with my pal Dalton. We are talking basketball as tonight, as we're recording this, is game one of the NBA Finals. So that's awesome. We're not going to spend a ton of time talking about the Warriors or the Celtics today. Rather, we're going to talk about some teams that are out of the playoffs at this point and into their offseason. So first off, we'll talk about the Pistons, the Spurs, and the Hornets in terms of what their off seasons look like. And then we'll also talk about potential trade destinations for Kyrie Irving, what those compensation packages could look like. Who knows? Is he for sure going to get traded this offseason? We'll talk about that as well. And then we will also start out our show talking about NBA players, if they weren't in the NBA, what they'd be doing instead. So just kind of a fun topic there. So to start out here, strictly ball business, we are talking about professional basketball players, what they might do if they weren't in the NBA. So first off, my first one, I want to ask you about, I don't want to give mine away first. I want to see what you got, what you've drummed up. Because I know, Dalton always does way better research than me. So I know he puts some heavy thought into what these players might do if they weren't in the NBA.
Yeah, so I'll go in my first one. It's not much of a joke. It's just kind of... So Nikola Vucevic, I had to do him. I was wearing my Magic shirt today. So even though he doesn't play for the Magic anymore. But I looked at him and I'm like, if this man wasn't in NBA, what would he do? And I said he'd be a florist. Just he's such a gentle giant, he's nice, gentle, such a delicate touch. I could see this guy gardening.
Wish he could hold you in his arms.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could walk into a greenhouse and if I saw him, it wouldn't be completely out of place. I'd be like, all right, man, you talk to me about some tulips. Sell me some hydrangea bushes.
Yeah, give me them tulips, baby.
Give me them tulips, and he'd be like, yes, I could talk about this.
One of the people I thought you would bring up for sure is Kyrie Irving. Initially, I think that's a good one to talk about. And I think he would be a great marriage counselor because he loves to just, listen to other people's problems and give his take on it,
Yeah.
I think he would do really well at that. And he would think he'd be doing really well, whereas he probably would just enable one person from each relationship.
Yeah, I feel like that would be really healthy for him. He'd be able to externalize all of the drama he likes to put on someone else, so he'd rather live it than create it. So
yeah, just watch it and listen to it and don't bring it home.
Oh yeah, I would love to, because I feel like he would take my points if I ever brought a girlfriend or wife at some point to him. Or
See,
I know how to pander to the audience. I don't think he'd be the best.
You're
practice.
Enhancing my point that he's not gonna actually be a good marriage counselor. He's just gonna enhance someone within the relationship and be like, oh yeah, you're the one who's right here. They're totally wrong. Because he wouldn't look for a solution.
No. Which is great, because somebody will get paid. Somebody will pay him, one of the two. So yeah. That's all marriage counseling is, isn't it, anyway, right? I don't know.
Who's another player who you thought about?
So I mentioned Rondo, and I thought about what he would be, and I'm like, I can totally see him being like a Parks and Rec guy who just chases kids out of the park, being like, stop smoking weed on the bench. God. Get the fuck out of this cave. That's all I could see him as. I was like, yeah, I can see him.
Did you not see him in the news recently?
No, I've never seen him smile. That's why.
He oh my God, he did some fucked up shit recently.
Really?
Yeah, let me quick look here. I think it's something where I think maybe his job being around kids wouldn't make as much sense.
I mean, while you look that up, I could jump into my next guy. Like it was Kawhi Leonard. And
yeah, I got it here. Yeah, we'll get into your guy next. But Rajon Rondo allegedly threatened to kill his former girlfriend, his ex, and pulled a gun on her because of like a dispute between their child. It says his ex, who's 36, and she's a bachelor for anyone interested. I feel like TMZ up in this bitch, but anyways, he came to her pissed off and like ripped the game console out of the wall in front of his kid, and like threw a scene in front of the kid, smashed some trash cans, threw a teacup at some lights outside, and said the kids were upset after witnessing dad losing it. And then he pulled the gun later, I guess. So as not great times for us.
As reports go, that was really detailed. But I mean, I didn't hear anything that doesn't remind me of a park ranger. I imagine that shit happens at park rangers all the time. So
yeah, maybe those are the qualities they're looking for.
They just need that passive aggressiveness. They're only allowed just a couple explosions per week or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Someone I thought about was PJ Tucker. I think he could be a like the head guy in construction, whatever they call that guy.
Foreman?
A foreman. Yeah, I think PJ Tucker would be a fantastic foreman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he knows his way around a brick or two, too. And, like, I can see that. I would hate... He's a guy that people would just hate, and that's the foreman. They just hate him, but you're like, at least he knows what he's talking about, but I just fucking hate the guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he'd be ripping, 15 cigs a day. I think it would be great.
Yeah, just walking around being like, is this guy fucking retired yet? Like, why is he still here? Should have retired a while ago.
He played in the NBA. Why is he doing this?
He played in the NBA. Why is he doing this? Exactly. No, that's a good one. I like that one. For Kawhi, a lot of people have... I've looked it up to what other people would think he would be as a janitor. I'm like, nah. I can totally see myself walking through Cub Foods, seeing this guy handing out samples. I think he's going to be a grocery store sample guy. Just...
Sampling.
You want to try some sausage? No.
Okay. Hey,
okay.
What do you mean? I cooked it all day. You're not gonna eat it?
Come on, man. I spent
all day. Not gonna try it? Come on.
All right, man. What sauces do you have?
Okay.
I have ketchup. That's it. No honey mustard. Just ketchup.
I have barbecue sauce.
Some barbecue sauce. See, that's it. I just see him as handing out samples at a grocery store. Not that he can't do more. That's just what best fits his personality.
Oh, man. I mean, he could be a coder or, an IT guy.
An IT guy? Oh.
Come on.
Yeah, but, I don't think they make keyboards big enough for those hands. I don't think he can, meticulously type like that.
I'm sure someone has realized there's a need for bigger keyboards.
Maybe.
I'm sure that exists by now.
I'm sure it's like a gag if look at this giant keyboard, but for him it's look at this normal keyboard.
For some people it's like, oh, I could use that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, great. You got any other players that you thought about?
I have two more. I have Wes Brooks is an extremely aggressive gym teacher that expects everyone to perform. Come on, man. During gym class, everything's the NBA finals.
He's just chucking dodgeballs, like when they play dodgeball, he's in there playing. He's just throwing them so fast at their heads,
just destroying kids. Yeah, that's exactly what I saw him doing. And the other Laker, Anthony Davis, I have him as an Aldi cashier because obviously he can't stay long on his feet.
Nice. That's pretty good. I mean, that might still be a hard job for him. You never know.
Yeah.
Might have to do some stocking for that.
Still have to show up to work.
Yeah, you still have to show up and work every now and then. He'll probably be like, I can't do that.
Yeah, they're like, don't worry. You can just come in and sit on the chair. He's like, I'm still gonna call in sick, man. Got some eyebrow issues.
I got some eyebrow issues. Yeah. Well, great. Well, I think that is enough talk for this topic. I mean, kind of just a fun one we wanted to do. I think moving on here, once again, strictly ball business. This is episode 41, baby. So we've been doing this for a minute, almost a year, really.
Oh, yeah.
And in our next topic here, we're talking about Kyrie Irving, who's been in the league for quite a long time. He hasn't played nearly a full season in years. But this offseason is the most interesting offseason really in a long time for him, because the Nets don't sound like they're eager to give him an extension. at least not a max extension, not a max long-term extension. And it sounds like this is his last year under Nike. So what's going to happen there for him? So lots of things up in the air for Kyrie after a few different moves and injuries for himself over the years. So where does he go this year if he does get traded? That's the question, because it seems like it's certainly a possibility if there's a stalemate in terms of, hey, I want to get paid a ton of money. Hey, we don't want to pay you a ton of money. Where do you think he probably ends up?
I don't think he'll get the max. I think he'll get some settlement in between. I do realistically think he's going to stay at the Nets. The Nets are going to do it. They're going to be like, refer to KD. KD's going to be like, all right, he's my friend. Come on, we'll figure something out. You don't need to give him the max. However, there are teams out there that I think would give Kyrie the max because they know how good of a player is. Maybe teams with less liberal laws like New York that are like, all right, come on, like if this ever happens again or whatever, or have a little more patience.
And if he's really like only cares about the money in that way and just getting the max dollars, like he can get it somewhere else probably. Yeah. But I'm guessing he wants the max amount of years. So I think, like, how many years do you think Brooklyn's willing to offer?
Brooklyn, I say at most, and I say 3-year at most, and that's with a team option. I think most likely he's going to get a 2-year extension or something like that, or a 2-year contract onto it. I don't think they're going to go more than 2 years.
I definitely think he's not interested in that. So I'm curious, what he would do, because getting that 4th, maybe a 5th year is really important for a guy like him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that, and that's why it's kind of crazy. We'll have to see. I think the Nets would obviously have to break before Kyrie. I don't think Kyrie's going to settle for anything. Kyrie, he's showing that he's stubborn and he's going to get whatever he wants, and he's going to, if he has to wait out an NBA season to do it, he will. Yeah. So I mean, that's good business, but
we'll see. I mean, I doubt he does that, but here we are. We're going to talk about where he could land. So where's the top destination outside of the Nets that you think he could end up on?
So I have 3, and these are the most realistic things that I could think of that Kyrie would also want to go to. I mean, there's tons of teams that could definitely make a push for him, but because of how picky he is and everything, my front runner is the Clippers. LA, I can see him wanting to go there. This is the package I have. I do have him getting sold really low because of how many games he plays, because of his personality, and all it takes is one bad thing to happen and he's not going to show up to work for a week or two, without even telling you, but he's going to expect you to understand. So I have them sending Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Luke Kennard, and Brandon Boston Jr. over for just Kyrie Irving. That's the package. I think that's a pretty generous package for the way he's played, only playing like 30-some games last year and 30 or 40 the year before. So I think that would make the Clippers really good. That's kind of fits the Clippers' need. They need a all-star point guard like that. What do you think?
I don't think it's enough. I think Brooklyn could probably get more from someone else, but I think it's still decent. Certainly could work. Yeah.
I do think more places would I think there are definitely better places out there that can give a better option. And I have my 3rd one is pretty good down the road here, but I just don't know, like, I know where he wants to go is going to play a factor. And if like the Magic come up and they're like, here, we're going to give you all these people, I'm not saying the Magic would do it, but like I know he wouldn't. He's like, I'm not going to the fucking Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's teams he's like, I'm not going to go there. Like, he's like, tell the team. He will tell the team.
But I'm sure there are some small marketplaces he'd be willing to consider, or some teams that haven't played well recently that he'd be willing to consider. But there's no way he's going to Orlando, and there's no way he's going to Indiana, or I don't know where else.
OKC, I don't think he wouldn't want to go.
OKC definitely wouldn't go there. Rockets. San Antonio probably wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
Rockets, he definitely wouldn't go there.
So they can't be like losing, because I know he wouldn't want to go to a losing team, because there are some markets that are losing that he would. I do
But
think
if he can that ends up being his best spot for a max shot, and they look like they're on the come up, I could see himself convincing himself of that. Because look at the turnaround teams like the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Wolves have had recently. Like, it can happen if you get the right players around there. So I think maybe he could talk himself into a certain situation, but I don't think it's like, I think like most likely out of those teams we mentioned, it'd be like the Rockets. I think that one maybe.
Yeah, I did think about the Hornets, but I don't like to fit next to LaMelo, and I think it would definitely stunt his development. I think they would rather just not leave him the way he is and not have Kyrie, rather than just let LaMelo develop. I would anyway. That's the right pick, and I think they would do the same. But the second pick, the second trade, I don't think it's likely, but this is what everyone's talking about, and this is the best trade that the Lakers can do to get Kyrie, and it's Westbrook, Reeves, and a second-round pick. This is the best they can. This is actually the best they can do.
It's the most dog shit offer I've ever heard. There's no way the Nets would do that.
And that it only solidifies my point. Like, people, it's the talking point.
There have to be a pick in there too.
Yeah, I mean, probably like a first-round pick. They have like very little that actually belongs to them, or is not like swapped, or is not.
They'd have to give up every unprotected pick they are able to.
Right, and which would be stupid at the age LeBron is, and the way and injuries that AD is, and it seems like I don't know.
It's just the 2027 unprotected pick that they have, if I remember correctly. So, they would definitely have to include that. But I just don't think it would be enough, anyways. I think if push came to shove, if they really did end up entertaining trades for Kyrie Irving, they could find a much better offer somewhere else.
I think they'd have to put in AD, and do the Lakers do that? Like they gave away their entire future for AD, and do you trade him for a guy who may or may not show up when it's needed? Which is you could make an argument.
I'd rather have AD. Kyrie than AD.
Really? I'm not sure.
I'd rather have Kyrie than AD because AD just he seems to get injured every time he's on the court, basically. And if he's not injured and getting out, he's injured and he's has a nagging injury that's going to stop him from playing hard defense. Like, that's what it's been the last couple of years. And I haven't seen a lot of strong effort from AD. Whereas the moments where Kyrie has played, I mean, he's looked freaking brilliant at times recently.
Yeah, and 27 points per game last season.
Yeah, and I think he definitely is looking to prove himself next year. He's definitely going to come out strong. So I think at the very least, you've got a really excited, play hard player in Kyrie Irving to start out this season next year. And then if your team is playing well, he probably continues to try hard, hopefully. So, it's always a wildcat at that point. But I guarantee, first quarter of the season at least, you've got a superstar player. So I think anytime you can have a guy like that in the building, roll the dice, it's better. Anthony Davis hasn't proven to me recently that he is a superstar player.
Yeah, I mean, it would also feed into that the narrative of LeBron's it was my team in Cavalier when we were with the Cavaliers. Now this Laker team is your team and I'm the vet. Something like that. I can see.
No, it wouldn't be like that. It would be Kyrie be coming in and it'd be like, yeah, you still my bitch. You coming back home to daddy? You fucking couldn't do it without me, huh?
That's the pessimistic side, but most likely, yeah. But all right, let me move into this last trade. So this one's actually more likely, I think. So it's Bulls with the Bulls. It's a sign and trade with Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso, Tony Bradley, Kobe White for Kyrie, Seth Curry, Cam Thomas, and a first-round pick.
I like that. I definitely, when we were thinking about this topic, I thought about the Bulls as a strong destination. It looks like Zach LaVine wants a new situation, a new spot to be. So wouldn't hate that at all.
Mm-hmm. The only thing, I think it works good on both sides. The only thing is it does limit Lonzo Ball, but if this was Lonzo Ball 2 years ago, I'd be more worried, but he's
just a role player. I'm not too worried. I think he can fit next to anyone.
Well, yeah. So if it was Lonzo Ball 2 years ago, I'd be really worried. But now he's shown he can catch and shoot threes, and he can play off ball. So right. I'm not too worried about it now. It does take it out of Lonzo's hands, but Lonzo is pretty good. I don't know if he's a better playmaker than Kyrie. Certainly, their dynamic is different in their playmaking style, but I do think that would make the Bulls better. Not that Kyrie. I'm not convinced Kyrie is a better player than Zach LaVine, because he hasn't been on the floor. But I do think it fills a need that they need, and they lacked a point guard because Lonzo Ball is out all season. Plus, I think Kyrie could make space and make things better for Vucevic, who really struggled. He's supposed to be their third star. And obviously, Zach LaVine put him on the Nets. Whatever, done with. Good.
Yeah, I think the Nets in this scenario where they're trading Kyrie Irving, they want to get back the closest thing to a star player as possible. And if they can bring back Zach LaVine, that's probably the best player they could hope to bring back in trade negotiations.
Yeah. Plus they get
with anyone in the league.
Yeah. Plus they get a good two defensive players like Tony Bradley and Alex Caruso, and a Kobe White that maybe he'll be something different for your team. And so Cam Thomas and Seth Curry, Bulls get shooters. You can never go wrong with shooters, and you get a first round pick back. So I like that one. But so it's definitely a storyline we'll be obviously covering a lot going into this next season.
I'm looking forward to the offseason. There's always plenty of player movement, and I think especially with how much parity we're seeing in the league with guys like LeBron and Steph and whomever else just getting older, eventually other teams are going to get a shot at a championship. We already saw last year Booker got a shot. This year Tatum's getting a shot. Teams are going to take a swing and try to get something going. San Antonio Spurs are reportedly interested in Zach LaVine. Like, that's something that would propel them, where they don't really seem like they're that type of team right now, but they pull them in, they could be that type of team.
Yeah, that's a great jumping off point. Let's move into the Spurs offseason. Strictly ball business. We're here to talk about what the Spurs should do this offseason. Are they targeting free agents? Are they looking at the draft? Are they moving around guys? What do you think they're doing? What's their priority?
I think the Spurs' priority is bulking upon what they have now. Last year, they traded Derek White, who was a good young player for them, and they kicked the can down the road. And they have a good, solid shooter, it looks like, in Josh Primo, but he didn't get a lot of playing time this year. And they really like what they have in Jakob Poeltl, and they really like what they have in DeJounte Murray. And Keldon Johnson's decent, but they need a lot more beyond those guys, and they need more at the big man position too. I think in the draft, they're looking at like a Jalen Durant. They can try and get like a big man in the draft possibly. That would be great. If not, there's also guys that are going to be out there available in free agency or trade. Could they bring in a Miles Turner? That's certainly an option as well. I think these guys are definitely looking to make the playoffs. And I think they want to bring in whatever talent necessary. If they can get a guy like Zach LaVine, amazing. If they, can't get somebody that great, we'll see. There's not a ton of talent out there in free agency, but I certainly think that they're going to be out there looking, and I wouldn't be surprised if they snatch someone up.
Yeah, I think I do lean into your Zach LaVine point, but I'm not convinced Zach LaVine will be there. They are one of the most cap flexible teams this offseason, so they can definitely make some signing in free agency. I do think their priority, they made it to the play-in. They were there. I don't think they go back from that. I think they're going to go in and try to pull more talent in. I'm content with Poeltl at the center, and I'm content, obviously, with DeJounte Murray at the lead guard, because he's shown there he's a great playmaker. He's like 8 assists a game. But and Poeltl, his advanced numbers are actually a lot crazier than his actual stats. So he really impacts the game where Popovich needs him to. So you've seen flashes in Devin Vassell, who's played decent in the minutes that he was given last year. Keldon Johnson was very inconsistent. He's either really good or terrible on the floor. So that's I do think they need some more veteran presence. I'm looking at Zach LaVine, obviously, that he'd be great. Colin Sexton.
Grab my league quick.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Colin Sexton is obviously a great point to bring in. DeAndre Ayton. I think he would be awesome. It would move Poeltl out and put him into a trade candidate type deal. But Sexton, I do think this is one spot where Sexton would fit so well.
I actually was thinking about him. Yeah.
You get shooting, you get offense. He'd be a great fit next to DeJounte Murray, and I think that, or you can also look and get some more offensive paint presence with Montrezl Harrell. I think he would fit well also in this scenario. So I think those are some guys they go after. But they got to find that second star, especially because they need that first offensive star, because that's not going to be DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, I think they're looking for a guy who can score. I think, ideally they're hoping Josh Primo can be a scorer for them, but they need more guys beyond him too. Mm-hmm. I think they really were hoping Keldon Johnson would be further along at this point. But at this point, you have to admit who a guy is. And Keldon Johnson seems like a fine player, but he's not that second star. And you need a second star ball handler. Ideally, a guy who can score, like your Colin Sexton. I think he would fit really nice next to DeJounte Murray. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I think him or Zach LaVine are home runs in either scenario. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't be surprised if they fall back and they're looking more at making a trade for like a Terry Rozier maybe. Or,
right, actually.
I don't know who else is out there that makes a ton of sense. But I think obviously they're fine at point guard. So we're just thinking about guys who can score effectively as shooting guards. So.
Oh, yeah. Even a vet like Harrison Barnes, I wouldn't think is the worst thing in the world. I mean, they'd probably just have to match up contracts like McDermott and Josh Richardson. Who actually that's not as bad if you're looking at Harrison Barnes for McDermott and Richardson. I think the Kings would like that. They'd get some defense and some shooting and some really nice
I think that's
bets.
a fine trade that moves the needle a little bit. You bring a guy in like him, and then you draft whomever. And I think that's fine. That's probably your most likely non-sexy blueprint. But I want sexiness. I want Colin Sexton, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be much better.
He would be awesome. He would be a great fit. I mentioned Ayton when you were gone too. I think this, and we talked about this would be a decent spot for Ayton to fall. It would push Podol out of the starting lineup. I don't think Podol or Ayton could play next to each other, but Podol would also be one of the best backup center in the league if you move him back there again. But
if you really didn't want to have him as a backup, you could trade him for someone decent, because I guarantee tons of teams would be interested in a guy like him.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. But I think we'll see the Spurs very active in the free agency market. I didn't write down a draft prospect for them on who they should be looking for. I've just kind of been leaning into just they tasted the play-in. They're going to want to get back there, and I don't know who. It's going to be tough to push anyone out, especially this next year with so many people healthy. Clippers fully healthy. Maybe the Pelicans will be fully healthy. We'll see. But Pelicans made a splash.
It's going to be a strong West next year, I think, as well.
Definitely.
But let's move on. We got other teams to talk about. So we are talking about the Hornets today on Strictly Ball Business, episode 41, I believe it is. We're talking about I almost said the New Orleans Hornets. Man, I'm fucking old. We're talking about the Charlotte Hornets and what they're going to do this season to get over the hump. So first of all, I mean, they got to hire a new coach, right? They haven't done that yet. They fired James Borrego after a couple underwhelming seasons, not getting past the play-in tournament. And now they have to solidify that. And beyond that, what are they going to do with the players they have? Obviously, everyone knows that they've needed a big man for a while. They put a Band-Aid on the situation a little bit by bringing in Montrezl Harrell last year, but they clearly need more than that. So where's it all start, man?
So I think a lot of teams, I say they have to get that second star, but I'm looking at the Mavs and the what they've kind of done with Luka. I think that's a very similar outline that they can follow, that the Hornets can follow, where you don't need a second star. You just need a lot of guys who fit well together. And LaMelo's very much...
Is that the best way to go, though? I mean, the Mavs did almost get swept by the Warriors. I mean, I know they had a great playoffs, but is this best case scenario for Mavs, or do we think we're just seeing the beginning of that team without a second star?
I think that team's gonna move. We talked about it earlier. It's just they have to get a star that plays so well off ball. But for the Hornets, how young they are, I think
Yeah.
if they move in that direction and you start where you've just fit a bunch of guys next to each other that can play well with LaMelo, that's a great start. And you move into getting a second star off that, like the Mavericks are doing. So
Sure.
I see. I mean, Gordon Hayward's not going anywhere. He's got 2 years left of his contract, makes the most money on this team. That's fine. Yeah, find a good coach. I think Kenny Atkinson would be good for this. He's a very good developmental. He's very in-between coach until he can develop a bunch of your players, and he's smart enough where we can still win some games. I think giving him another shot would be fine. Obviously, Frank Vogel can be a good pick for anyone. And there's Van Essel, coaches like that could get a chance. So we'll see. Tim Duncan's not.
I think always. I think Mike D'Antoni would be a great one if you're looking at former coaches. I think he would unlock LaMelo Ball. So if you want to just prioritize that, I think that would be a great fit.
That'd be a great fit. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think you find the most success with the assistants that are getting their first shot. So it's likely a guy that we haven't even thought about or know.
Yeah, for sure. So once the coaching gets figured out, I do think. Now, I really like Rozier as a player. I don't think this is his spot. I don't think this is where he belongs. I think they can get value back from him or guys that better fit. Rozier is a very hands-on type player where he needs the ball in his hands. And at this point, you're going to want to do what they do for Trey. You're going to want to do what they do for Luka and let LaMelo handle the ball as much as possible because he's clearly elite, an elite playmaker, an elite scorer. So I think you find something different for a different place for Rozier. There's a lot of people that are willing to buy. I mean, McDermott would be fine. He's off ball. Josh Richardson would be fine. We just talked about the Spurs. Both those guys would be fine, putting some defense and some shooting around him.
He's a lot better than those guys. I think they could get something better in a trade, hopefully. I'm
not convinced you go and get a better guy than Rozier. I mean, if you can, you can. But a better off-ball type players is what I'm leaning towards. I do obviously think the priority this offseason is re-signing Miles Bridges. I think you got to bring him back after the season he's had. He's improving. I think, don't piss him off in negotiations and, just get it done. Oh, yeah, definitely. I do think find a big man is their second biggest priority. I mean, third. Coach and re-signing. Find a big man. I think Miles Bridges. Miles Plumlee is on an unguaranteed contract. I think you let that go. That's $8 million that you don't need to pay. He obviously wasn't it. I think Nurkic should be their priority that they go through on the free agency. I think they'll have some cap space, and if you go after Nurkic, I think he'd be a great fit for this team. I think he'd be an awesome vet to have. You could get some 3-and-D like Gary Harris, Kent Bazemore, bring them in cheap, or gamble on younger guys that just haven't gotten the best chance on their teams, like Amir Coffey or Josh Okogie. I think either one would be a good fit on this team.
Yeah, I think if they even went after a Jonathan Isaac, I think that would be fine. But if they really need to get a bigger guy than that, they should maybe target like Naz Reid in trades or Marcus Morris. I think they could try and make a shot at either of those guys.
Mo Bamba could be a good fit. I mean, they're not going to... He's unrestricted free agent. They could probably get him for cheaper. I don't think the Magic are going to answer too much. Mo Bamba would be... I mean, Mo Bamba did shoot 38% from three, and he did get close to 3 blocks a game. So that he might be the answer in
I can
Charlotte.
I can see that. Yeah, no doubt. I think they don't have a ton of question marks here. It's clearly a team that's on the cusp of greatness. And I think once they get the right coach and they get some more of the right personnel, it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I do think they have enough vets in the system there, like Gordon Hayward. I think he is. I don't think
he's a positive vet. Yeah.
I mean, he's a good vet. I just don't think for the contract and the role they're expecting out of him, he's not there. But I think he's a good vet in most cases.
Yeah. Well, everybody but the Hornets knew that was a dumb decision when they gave him this contract anyways. So
I think they were just happy that some former All-Star wanted to go to North Carolina.
Yeah. But no doubt. But let's get into our next topic. I think we talked enough about the Hornets. We are strictly balls business this time. Episode 41, and we're talking about the Detroit Pistons and what they are going to do this offseason to get to greatness next year, and what are their goals for next year. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So the Detroit Pistons, they just had a fantastic rookie season out of Cade Cunningham. They have, is it the fifth overall pick. And so they're going to be able to add to this team that's got a couple of solid players outside of Cade with Sadiq Bey. And, that's about it,
Jeremy
to be
Grant.
honest with you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Jeremy Grant. You're right. Jeremy Grant and Killian Hayes fucking sucks. I'm just kidding. Last time we did a Pistons video, somebody was a big Killian Hayes defender.
Yeah, they were all about him. You were wrong.
You were wrong. A season's gone by, and you were wrong.
You gave us all that shade, but we're back here still talking about it.
Yes, but the Detroit Pistons, I mostly have positive feelings about this squad because they've got some, bright young players, it looks like, and a good draft pick this season. And I like their head coach. I think that they're definitely in a good direction. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs this year. I think it's going to still be at least another season or two. East is a lot stronger than it used to be.
Yeah.
So don't really see that happening quite yet. But I certainly think if they decided to be competitive and made some moves this offseason that surprised us, anything's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think their priority is looking to see what you get in that. Trying to find that second star. I mean, you showed a lot of growth out of Sadiq Bey. He was looking great, and they did. All things considered, Marvin Bagley was looking really good at the end of the season. He was finally got the room he wanted. He was very less expectations. He was looking good. Obviously, Jeremy Grant's just a fringe level 20-point per game scorer. You get good defense out of him, but
yeah.
So. The guys I'm thinking they pull another wing, a 2-guard, replace Killian Hayes, play next to Sadiq Bey. I think you give Isaiah Stewart another year. I was very unimpressed by his season. I thought he could have done a lot better. I had high hopes for him going into this as a starting center, and he just didn't impress me at all or anything. But I think you give him another year, see how that goes. So I say if Jaden Ivey falls, he's a shoo-in. He's the guy. He's your next 2-guard. He's it. Or Shaedon Sharpe. I think they'll get a chance at either one. I don't think Shaedon Sharpe's going 4. I think they'll get either one. And I think Shaedon Sharpe's more of a mystery, but you get that talent next to Cade, and that's going to move forward. I think you do have your number one. I think you have your star going, moving into your rebuild. I think that's a lot of weight off people's shoulders. He struggled at the beginning of the season. But I think now's the time you start putting vets around him. You get shooters. You build an archetype for a playoff team.
I agree. I mean, you're building the framework here, and I think they really were hoping that you hit on every draft pick, but that's not totally realistic in a rebuild. So you take as many shots as you can, and hey, they've done a pretty good job here so far in getting the talent that they can. So I don't think they're too many drafts away. I think 1 or 2 more good drafts and a free agent here or there, and they're going to have a fucking great squad that, by the time Cade is really blooming, they will be looking at a top 3 seed for years, no doubt.
Yeah, especially if you're looking at 2 very homegrown teams in the finals right now. So I think they certainly
the Final Four all
do it. Oh yeah,
lots of. I think over the history of time, just in the league, you'll find that you need to draft well in order to make it far, unless you're the Lakers or the Heat. You need to draft well.
Yeah.
And even those teams, they did draft well in a lot of their great seasons. They drafted Magic Johnson, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did. So. Yeah, MJ. So, yeah, I mean, their draft is going to go well, but I think you just get some vets in to show them. I think Patty Mills, if he opts out, would be a great vet to sign. I think he would be. There's a lot to learn. Even Dennis Schroeder, I think there's a lot to learn for these young teams, and Schroeder could play that 6-man role, like we've said that he excels in, like in OKC. I think vets like even Boucher, backup center or maybe your full-time center if Stewart doesn't work out. Kyle Anderson, I think, would be a great vet in the ears of these young guys. Even I would just love to see Bruce Brown on this team. He's an energy player, defense. He can do anything you need him to, and I think he would be a dog. He could really start to he could get in himself, start to breed that culture of defense, and I think he's that type of player coming up, like a Jose Alvarado or Pat Beverly or Marcus Smart. I think he's like the very small. He just has to build that personality up because he single-handedly was the Nets defense for years. So I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that could work out. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what direction these guys go this offseason. I think typically with a team this young, they're not going to make a ton of crazy splashes. They're most likely just going to make the pick and maybe get a free agent, but I don't know. I think a big question is whether or not they're going to trade Jeremy Grant. That is something I'm going to be watching. And what do they get back from that? What do they use that compensation that they get back to propel themselves forward? This is going to be a really interesting season for them, or off season for them. See where things improve here.
Yeah, and I'm with them keeping Jeremy Grant. He's obviously really good. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. You can have Marvin Bagley come off the bench. Maybe you play with some lineups if you don't get a 2 in this draft, or you want to have them come off the bench with Cade, Sadiq, Jeremy, Bagley. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility. And I think he wants to stay there. So be like, all right, man, we'll stay on your timeline. If you want to stay here, we'll love to have you. We'll love to pay you. You're still a great talent. He's a two-way player, and there's no harm in having him on that team.
Yeah, no harm at all. I mean, you bring in as much talent that wants to be there, and if he's having a good time and he wants to continue playing there, then all the power to him. Yeah. Some guys like just getting paid a shitload of money and playing basketball on a team with coaches they like. That's enough sometimes. Like, people always get mad at Bradley Beal for wanting to leave Washington. It's like, well, he's comfortable and he makes millions and millions and millions of dollars. Maybe he just doesn't want to move.
Oh, yeah. My last thing, and we've talked about him a lot today, is I do think the Pistons could also be a great landing spot for Colin Sexton. I think he would play next to with the people that they have.
That would be great.
I would love to have him.
That would be great. I mean, that would really accelerate them. I feel
that's box office. That's a team that I think would be really exciting.
Yeah, I feel that's the type of scoring they need to just be able to pencil into their lineup every night and not have to worry about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the starting 3 like that with Cade, Sexton, and Sadiq Bey. I mean, Sadiq Bey put up a 50-piece last 50. He put up 50, right? Last season.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was crazy.
That'll be insane. I think they would be super exciting to watch with Jeremy Grant and Marvin Bagley there. I don't know. It's a young team. I'd love to watch them. I'm definitely going to be watching team though. So Colin Sexton, Spurs or Pistons?
Spurs or Pistons? Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Colin Sexton's on the move this offseason. Yeah. The fit doesn't make sense in Cleveland. So I'm really excited to see where he ends up, because maybe it'll be kind of his choice.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, and we'll see what other teams value him as and what the Cavs value him. So it'll definitely be a sign and trade. So I think he's going to be the biggest name where we're wondering where he's going, aside from Zach LaVine.
Yeah, Zach LaVine, Colin Sexton, maybe Kyrie Irving. There's definitely, going to be a little bit of movement. Maybe Julius Randle, guy to look at as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm excited. Before that, we have the best part of basketball, and that is the NBA Finals, the complete pinnacle. The climax of this season has come. We are there. Who do you got?
For game 1, or what's my prediction? I guess we should make predictions.
And for this series, I guess.
I got
a clean slate here.
I got the Warriors in 6.
Oh, okay.
Steph Curry is your Finals MVP.
And I got the Celtics I have the Warriors. In 7.
You have Celtics in 7.
And Tatum is MVP.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Celtics. That's not unbelievable because of how good the Celtics defense is and how much they've turned it around. And I mean, that is Marcus Smart is the new how Pat Bev was with the Rockets for years against Golden State. I think Marcus Smart is now that storyline is carried over. Now he's the guy against Steph Curry, and that'll be a matchup to watch.
Oh, no doubt. Now, let me ask you this. Who do you want to win?
Who do I want to win? The Warriors. I always bet on Steph. Steph Curry is my favorite player playing in the NBA today.
So that probably plays into your prediction. So
I mean,
bias, we're blaring the alarm on him.
I mean, Draymond Green made a great point, and that was kind of like what solidified it for me. He's like, because he said years ago when they were that young, when those three, Clay, and Steph were the young players on a team full of vets that knew everything. They were the young players. He's like, now they're the vets that know everything. And they still have young players, but they're also the best players on the team. So I'm like, that's a great point. And it's just, they're better than the 2015 team that won the championship, is kind of what he was leaning towards. And I'm like, I do believe that.
I don't think Clay is on the same level as what he was back then. I don't think he's quite there yet, even though he's still very talented. I don't think he's on the same exact level he was before. I think Draymond Green is probably better in a lot of ways, and Stephen Curry is probably about the same. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say they're better than that other team. I'm gonna have to see them win the championship first before I make any proclamations.
I would say they're better than that 2015. I mean, like, I do think Draymond's gotten worse offensively, but better defensively. Clay has taken a step back, but they didn't have a player like Jordan Poole. I mean, you can make an argument there was Andre Iguodala, but he was more just a defensive guy there, which you have Gary Payton for. I don't think he's as good as Andre was defensively, but I do think Wiggins is better than Harrison Barnes. So there's a lot of factors. They're a completely different team, I think.
Yeah. So they're very good. We'll see what happens. Well, we better get to it. So, we can make it happen and get the nachos ready, watch the game, all that. So thank you for watching if you're listening, or thank you for listening if you've got ear pods in. We are Strictly Ball Business. This was episode 41, and we talked about a few things coming up in the off season, and we'll continue to come out with content whether you like it or not. That's the best part about us. So I guess that's it. Subscribe to us if you're interested. Thanks. I forgot that you always have the...
Hey guys, like and subscribe to our videos. I like talking balls. You guys like hearing about balls. Come on, just do it. Press the button.